Hello, and welcome to Horror Movies and Shit. I'm your host, Jim, and with me as always is...
Can we just talk for a minute, Jim, about the name of our podcast?
Not until I know who you are.
No, hang on. So there has been a growing online, um, what's the word? Wanting, changing.
Two people is not growing, Mark. It's you and
No,
Jeff.
no. So I think we should really change our name.
Mm-mm.
Yes,
No, sir, I'm sorry.
and our logo.
No, not happening. I already changed the logo since my tattoos. That's enough.
So I don't know if Asia knows, but Jim got a tattoo of horror movies and shit with our logo.
Our
So I
own
think
logo.
I think it's about time we change the name.
Yeah.
So I think it's about time we change the name of our
Bite me,
podcast.
Mark. You're not doing that. Like as I said on Facebook, Mark, you have no power here. Can
It's
we get to our guest now?
horror movies and other things. How about that?
I did like the one suggestion, which is homo and shit. Horror movies and shit. I like that one. You want to go with that, Mark?
That'd make
I
a
don't
good
care.
tattoo.
Literally, Jim, anything other than horror movies and shit is fine with me.
Yeah, it's not going to happen. Anyway, Mark, we have a special guest today. Do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, we have Asia on. She is a movie producer, a tap dance expert, and she also is a director.
I like putting him on the spot because he doesn't do any research. Asia, just so
No. So here's how it goes, and this is Jim for you. There you go. See, I did my research.
There's something that no, you did not.
So Jim invites people onto our podcast that he knows that I don't know, and then he's like, "Oh, Mark, can you introduce him?"
But that is not the case today. It does, right? But that's not the case today because Mark has actually read some of your work.
Really?
I have.
Yes, he has.
Also, before we go on, I don't know if I mentioned this last time. Talking about our friend of the podcast, Timothy King.
You don't have any friends, Mark.
So he was at Spooky Empire with us last weekend.
Yes, he was.
And he was kind of blown away by how myself and Jim interact.
Yes.
Right? Because he thought it was all an act for the podcast that we kind of do each other. But no, it's real. So Asia, you will discover that as the podcast goes on.
This is authentic.
He kind of prepared me.
We couldn't learn this.
He kind of prepared me. So
oh, did he?
Yeah.
Well, he probably said we're very professional, right?
He just said he
would not say professional and Mark in the same sentence.
He said it was going to be fun. He said it was going to be fun. Okay. So yeah,
I'm glad
because he knows that like I'm really awkward and he just knows that, and so I was like a little worried. Anytime I do anything like this, I get a little worried. Because most of the time it's like a super like professional setting. And so when it's really like laid back and just very chaotic and unhinged, that's where I thrive the best. And he was like, "You're going to have fun. You're going to like it." So
Jim, I think you were just called amateur there.
See, I myself am very awkward, so I understand, which is why we have this.
I considered it.
Then we become unhinged, and then everybody has a good time.
I considered it.
So,
if you're able to, you can absolutely do that. That we do not discriminate. You drink whatever you want.
My refrigerator.
And so I always look at.
Gotcha. That's fair.
No, you can run and get it.
Yeah, it's okay.
I got water. We can edit it out if you want. Okay.
That's okay.
Okay, so let's talk about you. Let's talk about you, Asia, and enough with Mark. So you're an author, right? And you primarily write. I know it's extreme horror, but is it splatterpunk, or would you consider it extreme horror?
What I have right now, I would consider extreme. So like with with my first one, Unforgiving, I wouldn't consider that extreme. I think that that's just more suspense horror. But with Butterscotch, I wanted to like write a little bit more of what I like, because with Unforgiving, I really held back with it because I was a little afraid of what people's reactions or would be. So with Butterscotch, I let myself kind of just go with it. I think that Butterscotch is one of those books that's a good toe dip into extreme. It's not like overly to where people are like, "Oh my God, I'm scarred," kind of thing, but it's a good introduction of like if someone wants to see if extreme is for them. I feel like Butterscotch is a really good introductory to that. Because it's
Nice.
got some parts in it, but it's not overwhelmingly like in your face. So I think it's a good intro to
Well,
extreme.
I may or may not have scarred a friend with some extreme horror. I'm not gonna lie. So I do have a copy of Deliverance and Butterscotch. I haven't read them yet. I'm sorry, but I do have both of them.
Deliverance was
So I'm very
fun.
excited for both of them.
Deliverance
Yeah,
was fun to
and
write.
Deliverance is the one that Mark read, right, Mark?
Yes.
Because he bought it on your Kindle, was it?
Right. Hmm.
Yep.
Yeah. So I actually have read something of one of our guests, which
Awesome.
is new.
That
I
one,
said that earlier, and you changed the subject, so I don't know if I believe you.
Oh no, I didn't want to forget about the the Tin King.
that one was
No,
actually
I really enjoyed the short.
well, it was based on what an old lady at Walmart actually told me one time. Yeah. So I was at Walmart with my mom. I was probably 19. It was when I first started getting heavily tattooed. And she had came up to us and was like, if you were my daughter, I would just what was it? I don't remember if she said an apple peeler or if it was a potato peeler, but it was one of those peelers. And she was like, I would take those off of
Right.
your body right now. And my mom, being unhinged, she was like, said a lot of choice words, but that always stuck with me. And I was just like, that old lady
Mm-hmm.
was crazy. And so when I got the chance to write that one, I was like, I'm gonna kind of, what if that lady was my mom kind of thing?
Right.
Yeah.
That's awesome. That sounds awesome.
I just saw a meme about somebody saying, "Hey, in Walmart, what you should do is have like a second floor with a bar, so you can just observe."
It's crazy in
That
Walmart
would be
sometimes.
fun.
Oh
It
yeah.
definitely is.
Hmm.
It definitely is. Now, so you also have a new book. Is it out yet? Has it been released? I know you were working on it, but I didn't know if it had actually been released yet.
Are you talking about Ditto?
Ditto.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So Ditto is in my editor's hands right now.
Well, she
Um,
froze.
as of right now, the arcs for Ditto will be going out like mid-June, and then I have a July release date for pre-orders.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
That's awesome. And how is Ditto different from your other books?
Uh, this one,
Well, what's it about?
so this one is actually based off well, it's not okay. For legal reasons, I shouldn't say it's based off anything. Um, but I took a lot of the situations that I was in when I was younger, um, with an ex partnership of mine, a lot of the dangers and just bad things that happened during that time. And I kind of created a story based around the emotions I had um, back then. And I wrote this story during a lot of like my most heaviest moments. So like if I knew I was in a low mood, I was like, okay, I'm gonna write content for Ditto using this energy. But it's about a girl who is in this very abusive relationship and just trigger after trigger after trigger, and she finally experiences too many bad things to the point where it's overflowing for her, and she ends up meeting this other woman named
Mm-hmm.
Ditto. And Ditto kind of just takes her on these adventures, to say the least. And it ends with a lot of closure, I guess you could say. But what's different between this and what I've released so far is it is an erotic horror. So there are a lot of
Mm-hmm.
where I don't really put a lot. I put a lot of like insinuation scenes in my other stuff, but with this one, it's very detailed, very
Mm-hmm.
descriptive. You'll know like, okay, yeah, this is what's happening. So it's It's definitely more X-rated, whereas my other ones aren't.
Mhm. So, is there anything that you won't write about, or do you have any limits?
Um, as of right now, I haven't reached any limits of anything that I'm wanting to write. I probably would
Hmm.
steer clear of anything that is like very detailed child stuff. I don't think that I can personally
Hmm.
write anything in that regards. But anything else, I'm
Right.
pretty okay with like writing.
What about the per dogs though, and the per animals, Asia?
Uh,
That's my limit.
I can see that because I'm a big animal lover. Our boxer actually just turned 12. We've had him since he was 3 months old. So, and we've had dogs and cats and we have a bearded dragon. So like we're very pro animal in our house. So it's hard for me, very hard for me to read scenes like that. I have yet to actually write a scene that has anything to do with animals. But I don't think that they're they shouldn't be written because it is reality. You know what I mean? Bad things
Hmm.
happen to people, bad things happen to animals. I am more triggered by bad things happening to animals than I am to people though, so those scenes are harder for me.
Yeah,
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Fuck them
100%.
people.
Yeah,
Exactly.
absolutely.
So,
People are awful. Animals are
Mark,
wonderful.
Doesn't not know this, but I do, and I'm curious about how this program is going. You have a Patreon set up,
Mhm.
and if I'm not mistaken, you're running a program where you're writing stories for different Patreon levels, right?
Right. So, I periodically will do. I know that I did when I first did my patron featured short stories. A lot of my patrons really liked that, and so I was like, oh, like I'm gonna do periodically, like doing them more and more. So right now, like I've been working on the summertime horror for patrons of mine that signed up like last month. I've been doing them this month. But next
Hmm.
month I'm gonna start writing a new chapbook, and every one of my patrons is going to be featured in it. Depending on the level of
Wow.
tier. So like my highest level of
Hmm.
tiers will have like main characters featured after them. Um, my other tiers will either have like passing characters or like side characters or things like that. But I'm really excited about it because I have such amazing patrons. Like Gage Greenwood is a patron of mine. That still is weird to me.
Oh wow.
Yeah, he's always been very supportive and he's a really good friend, but I'm excited to I haven't really thought about exactly what the story's going to be about. I have an idea, but I kind of want it to be a surprise for everybody, so but I'm excited, yeah.
Hmm. And you're also working on some art now. Is it a coloring book?
So I actually just released my third coloring book. Um, and
Oh wow.
I actually just released my third coloring book. My third coloring book is probably my favorite. It actually features a lot
Mhm.
of other horror authors and horror reviewers. And it was a really fun one to create. It was probably my favorite one that I've created so far. Oh, puppy.
That's awesome. I got to check that out.
So I think just
Yeah.
sorry, going back to the Patreon, specific stories. I mean, I really feel like this is like the new media, right? So it used to be the old published and that's it. But I think now in the internet age and everything else, I think it's a very smart way to go.
Hmm.
And I think it's very inclusive, right? Because you feel part of it,
Hmm.
So yeah, that sounds awesome.
Yeah,
So
I love it.
Mark is an aspiring author. Also, only he has Mark's an aspiring author. He just doesn't have the balls to put anything out there.
Mm,
He would love to actually write something, but he won't because he's too chicken shit.
yeah,
No,
So
no,
I've been
I'm
there.
too self critical, which is
yeah,
why I don't.
yeah. So what advice would you give Mark, Asia?
Um, as okay, so as brutal as this is to say, you are going to die one day. We're all going to die one day, and to think of not doing
Whoa,
it.
whoa, whoa! Hang on. Whoa, 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 stop.
I know.
What do you mean
Spoil
I'm going to die one? What is?
spoiler alert.
Hang on.
But
I was never told this.
but I when I get scared to do something, that's kind of what I remind myself. Like I'm gonna die one day. Like it's ridiculous of me to not do something in this short time that I have just because I'm scared to do it. You know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
I get that way
So
too. I get very self-critical, and I put off writing for the longest time because of it. Um, and after I did it the first time, my debut novella is, I love it. It's dear to my heart. But since writing other stuff like since then, it's not that good. It's not my best work. But if I hadn't done that first one, I would have never done anything else. So like just 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 do it. Just do it before you die.
so hang on, you've just given me an epiphany, right? Because
And
I thought I was immortal. And this is devastating news to me, by the way. Now I'm just thinking about all the hours and hours I've wasted talking with Jim. I'm going to be doing productive. So I am both now utterly depressed and just I'm crying. I'm crying here.
Oh, I'm
Mark,
so
Thanks,
sorry.
Mark, you would have to have a heart to cry.
Jim. You're the one with the cold, dad heart.
That is true. That is true.
That is true. Yeah.
Well, hey, if you don't have a heart, that's
I'm
good
surprised Mark
news.
hasn't brought this up. So, right?
Because then you are
For
immortal.
somebody that doesn't have a heart, I sure do have a lot of triggers there. Yeah,
I'm
right.
new.
Yeah.
I'm new to this death thing, so I'm just checking.
Come here, Mark. Let me check and see if you can die.
Yeah.
So, Mark, what questions do you have for Asia?
911. Sorry. I have to report a threat on me. Oh, sorry. Am I still on here? Okay.
No, it's scientific testing. It's not a threat. I
For science.
I have testing implements here. Yeah, right. Exactly. It's for science, Mark. If you thought you were immortal, let's test it out.
It's like that Simpsons. No, it was a Family Guy episode where Peter couldn't die. He was like jumping off buildings and stuff.
So, Mark, do you have any questions for Asia?
Yeah. So, what are your kind of inspirations for writing? Is it just like, do you look at the characters first and build up character in your head? Do you look at a plot? Do you read the news and, oh, that's interesting? Is it all personal or is it a mixture of everything?
So far, it's been all like personal things. So like with Unforgiving, I was newly postpartum with my daughter, and I was experiencing a lot of like just a lot of really hard. Like with both my kids, I had really bad postpartum depression. But with my daughter, it hit me like it just came out of nowhere, and so like I kind of took a lot of those emotions that I had. And I started writing it as like a short story, and then it kind of turned into like what it did. With Butterscotch, Butterscotch was not really personal. I think of Butterscotch as like a foggy dream that I had, and I just kept having that dream and kept having that dream until the book was written. And then Ditto is very personal. The book that I'm currently writing though right now, Botanophobia, I think this is the first time that I've allowed myself to be super imaginative, and not really rely too heavily on personal experiences, or anything like that, and kind of just let my storytelling in a different way, go down a different path and stuff. So,
And the question I always ask, Jim, you know what it is.
Yes, I do.
So when we have an author on, I always like to ask, pick whatever story you want, whether it's your most recent one, the one you're writing, or whichever one you feel would suit the medium best.
mhm.
And have you thought about the characters and which actors would play them in a movie and who might direct it?
Oh gosh, I don't
That is
know.
not the question I thought you were going to ask, Mark.
Now, no, I've never thought about that, but now my ADHD is gonna make me think about it until I actually like plot that all out, like go character by character, who's gonna play who. I'm gonna do it for all of them, and then I'm gonna message Jim, and I'm gonna be like, okay, here's everything. It's like gonna be like an outline. I don't know if you guys watch Always Sunny in Philadelphia when Charlie has that board.
Uh-huh.
It's like that's gonna be me with all my characters. And
Yes.
like now I'm really gonna like sit down
I
with
can see that.
myself.
You got a cigarette hanging out of your mouth. Your eyes are all wild.
I'm gonna seriously do
Hasn't
that
slept in
now.
3 days.
Oh my gosh, my family's all neglected. No, I'm gonna seriously do that now.
Oh.
Oh yeah, it's gonna
Her
happen.
kid's diaper hasn't been changed in 3 days, and it's all Mark's fault.
But there's lots of sticky notes.
Right.
Yeah, everywhere.
Everywhere. Yeah, no, I'm gonna do that now.
Her kid's walking around. There's just Post-it notes on the forehead.
I'm gonna do that
It's
now.
awful. So normally the question that Mark asks is, would you kill him in a story?
No, that's your question, Jim.
I've never asked a single person that,
Narcissist.
Mark. You always bring it up.
You're all. Can you put me in my story?
I would kill
No.
anyone in a story if that's what they wanted.
Mark volunteers as tribute.
So
Okay, can I kill Jim in a story?
I mean, yeah, like because I get some
Okay,
people.
awesome.
So like a lot of the times when I write stories for anthologies, I will post on my Facebook being like, hey, like who wants to be a character? And so every anthology that I'm gonna be a part of soon has a character named after a personal friend of mine. But I get so many people who are like, can you kill me like super brutally in it? And so yeah, if the person is okay with me killing them off, like I'm totally okay with doing that.
So
I have
see,
a wonderful cross-marketing opportunity.
so, hang on,
Well,
Mark.
just 1 second. Just 1 second. So I think Asia, maybe you should write a story called The Killer Podcast. It's about a podcast called Horror Movies and Shit, where I brutally murder Jim, and you have to watch it, like because we're in the same room doing a podcast.
But are you gonna be on
We
camera or are you gonna
No,
be dressed up as
this-
Darkwing Duck?
There you go.
Somebody has put amusing gifts over me or something
Perfect.
as I'm
That's
doing it.
perfect.
That's his motivation. Yep.
That's perfect.
Yeah.
It's perfect for the new generation, right?
So see, the problem here, Asia, is Mark is a little pissed that I am going to be unalived in 2 stories this year, and he's jealous.
I don't care.
Oh, he does. It's eating him up inside. You can tell. You can hear it in his voice.
Oh yes, I am. Listen, I just learned.
And wait a minute. Hang on. Wait a minute. I have spent
about my own mortality on this podcast. Do you think I care if you're in a story?
I have spent way too much time on TikTok because I just said unalived.
Yeah,
I'm on a fucking podcast. I can say whatever I want.
Yeah,
I'm going to be brutally murdered in 2 books this year.
I may, hopefully in real life.
Whose book? Are you allowed to say?
I can tell you one,
Okay.
and that's Carlos Trifino Rivera in his White Harbor book 3.
Cool. Very cool.
And the other one I can't say yet.
Okay, I figured. I didn't know if yeah.
And I may or may not figure prevalently in another friend of mine's short story.
Cool.
But I can't talk about that one yet either.
Okay.
I'm inspired to write now.
Good. Hey,
yeah,
you can.
It's going to be the Splatterpunk extreme story ever told about Jim. And what happens to him.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great.
It's just. I just watched a movie last night. Well, we'll talk about that in what I've watched, but I have pictures of this in my head, Mark, now.
Okay.
This
good.
is exactly what I picture for your story. But anyway, Asia, we usually do this in the beginning of the podcast, but I didn't because I'm a moron.
That's okay.
Tell people where they can find you. On socials.
So I'm mostly on Facebook. I do have if you search Asia Brito Guerrero author, my Facebook page is on there. I am on Instagram as Asia BG author. I am on TikTok, but I'm not on TikTok. I am so bad about posting on TikTok that when I do post, the first thing I say is, "Hey guys, I know I haven't been on here lately." Like every single video.
So you were much more active on TikTok before the Indie Brawl started.
Right.
Like you and Mike Salt and Ed Stone, like you guys were going at it, and it was hysterical to watch.
Yeah.
It was great.
Yeah, but I think Mike had his lawyers contact my lawyers, and the Hawk kind. No, I'm just joking.
Is there anything you'd like to say about Mike Salt while we're here? Like you have free reign. We'll handle all the legal fees, right, Mark?
So
No, Jim will.
the thing about Mike Salt is there are people that genuinely think that him and I don't like each other. Like they genuinely think that our banter
Oh,
is, and I'm like, he's probably one of the few people. Well, I don't want to say few people because there's so many people in the indie horror community, but he is so supportive. He is definitely not a human being, but that's okay. We won't hold it against him. Um, but there are people genuinely who think that we don't like each other, and it's funny because when people ask us, we're like, "Oh yeah, we don't." And Mike was like, "That's probably why people think we don't like each other."
right,
It was kind of the opposite with me and Jim, where we genuinely hate each other,
right.
and people think it's an act.
Yeah, and it has nothing to do with one of us being three raccoons in a meat suit.
Oh my gosh.
Jim, don't put yourself down.
Oh, I'm not. That was a reference for Asia. She got it.
Yeah.
Oh.
No, it's funny. I don't know if you've seen Stephen Pajek's shirt that I made for him. So he got
I did.
So I'm actually gonna be handing those stickers out at Books and Brews to everyone that I meet. I'm handing out a Mike Salt raccoon sticker. But it's funny because
I need one of those.
I'm giving 10 of them to Ben Young because he needs them for brawl reasons.
Ben Young is fun. His I found a series I've had a lot of fun with so far. So, who are some of your favorite authors right now, Asia?
Jen Osborne, Jennifer Osborne. I am just so excited for everything that she's gonna be releasing. I really, really loved her debut collection. But her debut novella that's coming out, oh my gosh, it's probably my most favorite thing I've read ever. It's called Moribund. I think that's how you pronounce it, Moribund. But it is like
Moribund?
yeah, it's like a psychological horror. Like it's more set in realistic horror. And it just it wrecked me. It's short and it's fast paced, but it wrecked me, and I haven't felt like that in a long time. Um, so she's definitely been one of my favorite authors, but also just like most of everyone that's in the brawl are some of my favorite authors, and they so deserve to be in there. Like Mike Salt, Gage Greenwood, Ben Young, John Durgan, like they all are just phenomenal authors.
I've not read any Gage Greenwood yet.
I have read every single thing.
I haven't made my way.
I've read Winter's Myths, Winter's Legacy, which Winter's Children is coming out soon. It's on his Patreon right now, and then he has Bunker Dogs, and then he has On a Clear Night the um, Block Island. So yeah, I've read everything by him.
Oh yeah, right. I'm obsessed that way with James Cain right now.
Okay.
I've read Pursuit, My Pet Werewolf, and Gunther.
My Pet Werewolf.
I love everything that guy writes.
My Pet Werewolf is.
It's so good.
Yeah, I need to read it.
It is such a good book. Yeah, it was a lot of fun, and we had him on the podcast, and he's just such a nice guy. Such a nice guy to talk to.
That's the best.
Mark?
Yes?
Do you have anything to add? You're awfully quiet.
I'm just listening to have a conversation, Jim. Is that okay?
No.
Okay. All right. Yeah, that's probably right. So Asia, so you write some extreme horror. Do you watch extreme movies, or is that some, because it's a different media, is that something that affects you differently?
No, I'll pretty much watch anything. I love.
So Mark, I go ahead. Sorry.
No, you go ahead.
I was just gonna say I already know her favorite genre, Mark. So that's what we're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know her favorite genre, Mark?
Home invasion. I have a list that I came up with from my brain cells.
Came up with. You have one left?
Yeah, it's getting lonely in there.
I'm going to tell you, I'm on it. Honestly, I'm surprised any of us have any brain cells left after Spooky Empire.
That's just a normal weekend, Jim.
Hmm. Not for me.
No, not for you.
So,
So, Adrian, why do you love home invasion movies?
Because I think that those are the ones that genuinely scare me the most. Um, I have like I think everyone is scared of home invasions in a sense, but I have like this weird paranoia that I think that every minute of every day someone's gonna break into my house and kidnap me. Um,
Asia, sorry, there's someone behind you.
right? Oh my god, no, but like those are the ones that genuinely scare me, and so I like having that sense of like confronting that fear in a way, in a safe environment, even though technically my home is not a safe environment if someone were to come in and kidnap me. Um, but yeah, I think that just because
It,
those are the ones that genuinely scare me.
it's probably the most realistic, right? So, out of all of horror movies, right? I think that's the closest to what could happen to you,
Mm,
right,
yeah, exactly.
Jim?
well, I mean, we've often had this conversation, Mark, on the podcast. I think people are far more terrifying than any fantastical beast that could ever be
Well, yeah.
thought of up on screen.
Oh yeah, for sure, for sure.
So, Asia, why don't you tell us about some of your favorite home invasion movies?
Oh, I will always love The Strangers, the first one. Um,
Oh,
I was not a fan of Strangers Prey at Night. Um,
No, that's
I don't know how I'm gonna feel about these new ones coming out. But the very first Strangers was like intense for me. Just the whole fact of like they had no reason for doing it. And when I remember the first time I ever watched it, and they're like, "Why are you doing this?" And they're like, "You were home," and I was like, "Oh my god, I'm at home." And so like that movie will always be one of the ones that I'm just like, that is terrifying.
can I get pedantic for a minute, Mark?
what do you mean for a minute, Jim?
So, Asia, I don't know if you've heard this before or not, but little things about movies piss me
Mm-hmm,
off pretty hardcore.
mm-hmm,
And up until the final jump scare of that movie, it was pretty perfect.
mm-hmm.
That final jump scare ruined everything for me.
Oh, you think
I
so?
hate that movie. I do.
Well, I mean,
That cheap scare at the end.
mhm.
Mm-mm.
I can understand that. I can totally understand that. There's some things that I'll be watching and I'm just like, oh, and then you're just like you're kind of taken out of that story.
Mm-hmm.
Mm,
And that's exactly how that last scare at the very end of The Strangers made me feel.
I can understand that. I
Mark?
Jim? No, 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 no. Don't feed into his pedant ways. I'm sorry, but Jim has rated movies down because he doesn't like how somebody's dyed their hair in a movie. Like
That's not
it's
untrue.
it's pathetic. You know, lots and lots and lots of people put in lots of money and hard work to make a movie,
mm,
and Jim's just sitting there on his throne. Look at that bad dye job. 1 out of 10 in a 10 out of 10 movie.
Name one, Mark.
Name one what?
Name one movie that I did that in.
I don't remember. But you
Exactly.
agreed. But you agreed with me, so
I know. So like
I
Housebound.
I try to
Well, I'll
block
give.
it from the
So I
conversation. So
I created a drinking game, Asia, on this movie called Housebound. Right. If you haven't
oh,
seen it, right. But if you haven't seen it, the main character switches between her real hair and a wig so
uh,
often
mm,
that you would be absolutely smashed in the first 20
right,
minutes.
right.
So now, every time she switches, you have to take a shot. Every time you watch the movie.
So I'm assuming this
oh, and by the way, Housebound is not one of those so bad it's good movies.
No,
It's
it's
just a
not.
good movie.
It
It's just a
is.
genuinely good movie.
mhm,
It
But
is.
Jim doesn't like somebody's haircut,
mm.
so
That
it's
is
a one
incorrect, Mark.
from
That's
Jim.
incorrect. That is incorrect. I dislike the consistency between using her real hair and a wig.
I can understand that.
It has nothing. Yeah. So,
No, no, don't encourage him. He's bad enough as it is.
Yeah, God forbid anybody should agree with me.
You're fucking right.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, any
Uh,
any other ones you want to talk about, Asia, before I do my brain dump?
oh, can we talk about the best one ever?
Hmm.
Panic Room. Jodie
Oh
Foster.
my
Who
gosh,
doesn't love that
yes,
movie?
with Dwight Yoakam.
That's a horror movie, though.
I'm totally being sarcastic. I hate that
I
movie.
love that movie. Only because of Dwight Yoakam.
Oh God.
Okay. I should say I don't love the movie. I love Dwight Yoakam's character. I should clarify.
Okay, fair enough.
I love Dwight Yoakam's character in
That's
that
fair enough.
movie.
Yep, that's fair enough. The movie is objectively bad, though.
No,
It
it
really
is, but
is,
Dwight Yoakam's
in my
character
opinion.
makes me want to watch that movie, kind of thing. You know what I mean?
Fair enough.
And like
Fair
that
enough.
one.
I've more than one time have I watched a movie because I admired parts of an actor.
For the longest time, I didn't realize.
So Jim's very pedantic again.
No, for the longest time, I didn't realize that was Jared Leto in the movie. Those
Oh
braids,
yeah.
those braids totally threw me off. I was like, oh my
Yep.
god, that's Jared Leto.
He's he's a character for
Oh
sure.
my gosh.
Anything else that you love? Any other movies that you love?
Um, yes, but my brain right now is like, I'm not gonna tell you.
Well, that's okay. Mark can brain dump because he's
Okay,
obnoxious.
I'll do a brain dump of home invasion. And again, sometimes when you're looking at a subgenre,
Mm.
it can be either, for me, it's like fully a home invasion, or maybe there's a part where
No,
there's
no, no
that kind of
parts. No,
invasion.
no, no, no. It
I
is
will
not.
Jim,
It is not.
shut your mouth,
No,
shut your mouth.
it is not a home invasion movie. If only part of the movie revolves around a home invasion, Mark.
That is true.
So who came up with that rule,
Well,
Jim?
well, it depends.
It no, it that
As I go down my
if the
list,
movie. So
as I go down my list, we can discuss it. Okay.
okay, I can tell you how wrong you are every single time. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Tell it to Ray. Um, so I think my favorite home invasion movie is the French movie Inside
I've not seen it.
L'Intérieur.
I have heard of it, but I've never seen it. If it's the one,
Yeah,
if
me
it's
either.
the one I'm thinking.
So it's basically so so basically a very heavily pregnant woman is
Okay,
being
yes,
stalked in her
yes,
house
yes,
by another
yes,
woman.
yes, yes. Is there a scissors scene?
Yes, there
I have
is.
seen it. I have seen it. I have seen that movie. Yeah.
And what do you think of it?
Um. Yeah, that scared me. I remember when I was pregnant with my son, I went to go pick up something from somebody that I had never met before, and I made like my
Mm-hmm.
I made my husband go with me. I made my sister-in-law go. I made everyone go with me. So I was like, I am not about to be kidnapped and my baby snatched from my stomach. But yeah, if it's the one with the scissor scene, I have seen that one.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's yeah.
Jim.
I've not seen it. I can't talk about this movie.
Okay. Again, this is kind of a lot of a brain dump stuff. So, Hush,
Oh, that's
Mike
great.
Flanagan's
Yes,
movie.
I love Mike Flanagan. I thought that one was really good. I have I have not the greatest hearing, and so I have like this fear of I'm constantly on alert. And it's my left ear
Come here.
that's why I don't
Mm-hmm.
have an earpiece in the phone. But I
Mm.
that terrifies me.
So that works even more for you.
Yeah, so like not having one of my senses. I definitely would rather lose my sense of hearing though than my sense of sight. I feel like my paranoia would be a lot worse if I couldn't see.
You're next.
Love that movie.
I have only watched that once, so I don't really have much of an opinion on it at the moment because I don't really remember it. I think I was like half asleep when I watched it.
Yeah, I don't want to ruin it for you, but it's definitely fantastic to watch.
Okay, I'll
Any movie
rewatch
where
it.
Ty West gets killed on screen, it's a good movie.
I'll rewatch it.
I didn't know he was even in that movie.
Yeah.
I
So this one, and this is what we talk about, like as far as is it really considered home invasion because it's only part of the movie,
Mhm.
but it is one of the big standouts in like horror movie history,
Mhm.
and it's the last house on the left.
Okay,
Yeah.
I
Ah, see, Jim, not so confident now.
I feel like that would
What do you
work
have?
because it leads into the home invasion. You know what I mean? Like everything kind
And the
of.
funny thing is, the weird thing is, they're not actually invading the parents'
That's
home per
true.
se
They
to
were
kill
invited
them.
in.
Right? They were invited in, right? And they weren't going to like do anything to
That's true. They didn't
the
know who they were.
the family, and the family recognized who
Yeah,
they
yeah,
were.
but they didn't recognize the parents
Um,
because they didn't know who they were.
right, and again, this was based on the Virgin Spring, the Ingmar Bergman movie,
Yeah.
which is like an old Swedish or whatever folk tale about
Hmm.
parents recognizing the murderers of their daughter are in their house, and the murderers don't realize that.
Right.
Yeah. See, I would not classify it, and this is just personal. This has nothing to do with actual classifications. To me, that's more of a revenge flick than it is
Yeah.
a home invasion.
Yeah. I mean, I think that it could, if there was no other category, I think home invasion would be okay. But if revenge was a category, it would automatically go to revenge.
Yeah.
And it's almost and again, because movies and books and media, they often span multiple genres and
Right.
even multiple
Right.
even more subgenres.
They inter-
I mean, you can look at a serial killer movie, right?
Mhm.
Or a serial gang killer movie.
Mhm.
Yep.
Um, but I don't know if you brought up a list, Jim. I'm sure you have a list up because you don't do any research. I would not be surprised if it's on that list. So kind of in the keeping of the 70s and
Oh, hold
nasty.
on, hold on, hold on. I'm not done yet. You didn't give me a chance to finish my train of thought, Mark. So please hang on.
Okay.
I'm gonna let you finish, but let me talk.
Mhm.
um, so here's the reason I would not consider this home invasion, is because do they let them in their house? Yes, but they are immediately drugged and knocked out, and then the parents take control of the situation. There's no real home invasion.
Mhm.
They're let in as weary or as wayward travelers or
We're
people
talking
that are
about the
stuck.
original or the remake.
The original.
Oh yeah.
They drugged them in the original.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a while since I've seen it.
Yeah.
Anyway, that movie's let down by the comedy cops. Okay.
By the what?
The comedy cops.
Oh yeah, I don't remember the cops too much. Go ahead.
It's Martin Cove is one of the cops
Okay.
from Karate Kid and Cagney and Lacey. Anyway, so I spit on your grave.
Is that so? I can't speak to this movie because I haven't seen it. I was not allowed to watch that movie as a kid, and I just never revisited it.
It was it too graphic, Jim?
Yes,
So a lot of people say
when
Because
I
it
was
was like sexual assault.
well, no, a lot of people say that butterscotch reminds them of I Spit on Your Grave, and so and I don't want to say I
yeah, and
love this
I
movie,
my
but I have seen this movie enough to have an opinion on it.
are we talking about the original
The
or the
original.
remake?
Well, I've seen both, but I'm talking about the original.
Okay,
I
yeah, the original was rated X,
yeah.
so I was not allowed to watch
Oh
it.
well. I would
Well,
say that one fits more into revenge as well, just because of there. It's not really an invasion, more as like what's what I'm looking for. Like she invades a lot of their spaces in both of the movies, but I would still think of it as um a revenge story
so
more than a home invasion.
I, yeah, I kind of think like the arc of most home invasions is that the people end up beating or killing the people that are invading their house at the end. That's the normal arc. So you could say like all of them are kind of revenge.
Yeah, that's true.
I I don't feel that way.
So mostly, I'm just saying in generality, a home invasion movie ends with one or two victims killing the perpetrators of the home invasion.
And I hate that.
Generally,
Would
yes.
you agree or disagree, Jim?
I would agree.
So they're both revenge and home invasion. Would you agree or disagree?
I would agree because movies do span multiple genres, but
Yes.
I can't speak till I spit on your grave because I haven't watched it.
No, I'm just saying in general. In general, that's the kind of arc, and some of these ones I'll talk about don't have that arc. But I think in general, I definitely can see the revenge thing too.
Well, but that's okay. So let's talk about that, right? So I don't mean to skip ahead, but would you consider When a Stranger Calls a home invasion film?
I would.
So I haven't seen When a Stranger Calls,
Of
but
course you haven't.
I'll give you an analog.
Yeah, I'm talking about the original.
Okay.
I'll give you an analog. Black
Hey, Mark,
Christmas.
Mark, hang on a second. Asia, can you pull your microphone closer to your mouth?
God, he's so needy.
Can you hear me better?
Hey, I'm gonna take a bathroom break. So
There you go. Perfect. Perfect. So
bathroom break.
he's going to the restroom. Let's talk about When a Stranger Calls because
Okay.
he's never seen it.
Okay. So I've seen both. I've seen the original, I've seen the new one. I would definitely think that it's a home invasion,
Mhm.
but you really don't know it's a home invasion the entire time. And so I think that that kind of
Right.
makes it a little iffy
Right.
to people if it's a home invasion. But once you realize, like,
Yep.
towards the end, it kind of just automatically makes it a home invasion.
That's fair. I mean, because he obviously has been inside the house,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He's obviously been there because of what happens in the film. But I when I think about home invasion, I consider. I guess I assume that it has to be more violent.
Right.
The intrusion. So that could just be a me thing. You know what I mean? It's not to say one is correct and one is not. That's just a me personally thing. Like I would like You're Next, right?
Mhm.
They get violently invaded during a dinner party,
Right.
or something like that. Like The Last House on the Left. I don't consider home invasion because the parents realize who these people are while they're just walking through their home
Right.
because they think their car broke down, and then they drug them and they do what they do.
I do agree with that. I don't
So
think it is either.
um, it's again it's subjective, right? Because
It
home
is, yes.
invasion, like in my head, it's like the most obvious one is one or multiple people breaking into a house and tormenting somebody,
Mhm.
right?
Right.
But you could say home invasion is also like The Boy or Housebound or somebody who's living in the house without
Yep.
people knowing it
Yeah.
Yep. You could.
and doing things. And it could also be somebody who pretends that there's somebody that they're really not and works their way into this family, right? Because
And the rocks the
it's
cradle.
really invading their home almost mentally. And I've got some of these in my list too.
True. And yeah, and you're right. Like, it's super subjective because, like, there are some people who would consider that movie I See You as home invasion, and it's just about frogging,
Mhm.
but they're invading the person's home, and it's, you know what I mean?
Right.
Right.
So it's very subjective.
That was
So
such a weird movie.
It was so
That
good
was
though.
such a weird
It was
movie.
like I wasn't expecting that twist, and I was like, didn't know if I liked it or not. It was weird. It was really weird.
So I'm gonna get pedantic again. I couldn't get
no,
over Helen Hunt's face.
Oh yeah, I know. I for a
see what I
minute
mean?
for a minute I was like I was disbelieving that it was Helen Hunt.
Yeah, exactly.
Mhm.
And I hate to say that but I mean, like there's been so much done to it that it almost doesn't look like her anymore.
Yeah.
And it's not like she's just aged and doesn't look like herself, like Kathleen Turner or whatever. But
Mhm.
she's had work done, and it just doesn't look like her anymore. Sort of like Priscilla Presley.
Mhm.
Meow.
Meow? Did you just say meow?
That's
Yeah, I guess I'm being a little catty bitch.
yeah. Mhm.
Anyway,
Okay, so here's another one where I'm saying there's a certain part of this movie is definitely home invasion, but then
okay.
there's other parts. Jim, what's my favorite movie?
Martyrs.
So Martyrs, about a third of that movie is a home invasion movie.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes. It is.
Now, again, it spans multiple genres, but I think, you know, Would I just call it home invasion? No, but there is a big part of it that is a home invasion.
I would.
But surprisingly enough, it's not the bad guys that are doing the home invasion,
Right.
Right.
right? Per se, not guys, but so that's just an interesting one.
I would not put that on a home invasion list only because of all of the other things that are in that movie.
That movie's wild.
But that's just me. Again, it's subjective. It is. It really is.
But you couldn't put it in any one genre.
No, you can't. That's a very hard film to classify.
So here's one that goes into more kind of realistic terms. It's Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, where there is segments where he goes into people's homes and kills them.
Mm-hmm.
Haven't seen it.
That's more.
Asia, have you seen it?
No, but that feels like, just based off what you said, I feel like that is one of those movies where it's like intertwined with like serial killer vibes automatically make me feel like there's a subgenre under like serial killer, because there are serial
Yep.
killers that home invade, but I feel like that's just a subgenre of a serial killer genre.
And
And
that's
I have a couple more examples of that where, again,
and
sorry, go ahead, Jim.
I was just gonna say, I'm gonna be honest. I feel like we're getting a little
Pedantic.
Yeah, because like you're. It's almost like we're putting every movie where somebody enters a house unwelcome, we're making it a home invasion.
No, that's not true.
That's how it feels though with this list.
Right, but you haven't seen half these movies, Jim, so you don't know what the fuck.
So far, I haven't seen two.
Okay, so Jim, your favorite pseudo documentary handheld Belgian flick, Man Bites Dog. Can you tell me whether that's a home invasion movie or not?
Oh, it's absolutely not a home invasion movie.
So can you tell me why?
No, I've never seen this fucking movie.
How about the Austrian movie Angst?
I have never seen Angst.
So again, it's about a serial killer who goes in. This one really is more of a one location, and maybe that's
it. Yeah.
But if somebody yes, but then you can look at something like The Purge, right? Although that movie is based on just one group of people going into one house, the whole movie's really probably a home invasion movie, outside of that.
Yeah, absolutely, because that's a large part. Like, people are trying to take safety or trying to take harbor in their house most of the time while people are coming after them. So it's multiple home invasions.
Yeah.
On that.
Jim, sorry, go ahead, Asia.
No, I was gonna say I agree that it's definitely multiple home invasions, because like people are actively seeking out people throughout that night.
Right.
So yeah.
It's almost like they're harboring grudges just for that night, so they can feel righteous.
Yeah.
So, Jim, here's one which you think the movie is better than the book.
Uh-huh.
And it's a home invasion movie. What is it? Recent.
I'm sorry. It's what now?
It's a home invasion movie that's recent, and you said that you liked the movie better than the book. Right.
Yep. I did not like the book at all.
Which one was it?
So that's another.
Knock at the Cabin.
Oh, okay.
With with Ray Batista, Jonathan Groff.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
I thought that the movie that movie did a much better job of conveying the story than the book did, in my opinion.
I haven't read the book,
and it absolutely is a home invasion because,
for sure.
So this is going to sound really awful coming from a gay man, but that book focuses way too much on a hate crime perpetrated against one of the men in the relationship. So much so that becomes the focal point of the story for far too long.
Right.
Whoa. Hang on. So, Asia, you just informed me about my own mortality. And Jim, now you're telling me you're gay? What is going on in this podcast? Holy shit. Do gay people die, Asia? I'm just trying to
I hope not.
Do gay people die? Is that what you just said?
Yeah. I'm just learning about these two different things.
Wait, Mark, hang on. Have you deemed Asia like the? Is she like one of the fates now?
She is.
Oh, okay. I'm just trying to understand the mythology we're creating here.
I am all three fates from Hercules at the same time.
Oh, oh my,
Yeah.
interesting.
hmm
Let's hear you sing.
Oh God, I can't sing. I am a terrible singer.
That's okay. Me neither.
I might sing
Me
at
too.
Books and
That's okay.
Brews. I might sing at Books and Brews.
I won't be there though, because
Ah, oh
that's too far
yeah.
away for me.
Dang it. This is gonna be my first ever like thing that I've done just because, and the only reason why I'm going is because Mike Salt bullied me. So
I'm so excited that you're going though, because it looks like it's gonna be so much fun.
yeah, I'm excited. There's gonna be a lot of cool people there, and I'm just hoping that um I don't weird people out too much.
Oh, please, weird them out. That's what that's there for.
Right?
I make things weird all the time. It's okay. I've started to own it in my age. Right, Mark?
Absolutely. Okay,
Uh-huh.
so the next one on my list is a movie which I don't really like.
You don't
Although
like movies anyway.
the director is coming out with a new Alien movie, which looks very good.
Oh,
Mm.
Fede Alvarez, yes.
And this is Don't Breathe.
Oh, okay.
I love this movie.
I do too. Have you is the second one already out?
Yeah, oh yeah, it's been
Oh
out for
yeah,
a
that's
while.
what I thought. Okay, I've seen the first one. I have not seen the second one yet.
Correct. Me either.
Okay.
The first one was amazing.
Yes, it was.
No.
And God, does it get
So,
dark?
so the reason why I don't like it is that number one, just because you're blind doesn't mean that you're Daredevil.
That is true.
Which they made. What's his name? Which I love that actor, by the way. I can't remember his name. Like the blind guy. But also, I don't like having scumbags be like the heroes in the end, like because they're breaking into a blind vet's house to steal money from him. So I don't feel sympathy for these people.
Right.
So fuck them. But that's what the movie tries to do.
They try to make it seem like.
So I had that same God, sorry.
No, I was just gonna say they try to make it seem like, oh, they're the bad guys, but oh, this guy's even worse, and like it's definitely
Right.
one of those situations where it's like, but is he a bad guy? Like, I I don't know.
He's just a fan.
Wait,
He's just
hey,
It's a
picks
revenge
apart from the
story.
end, right, where he tries to. It is.
yeah,
They're all revenge stories.
So I feel like that with Don't Breathe, the sympathetic character is Brittany Murphy, right? Or
What? Brittany
who's,
Murphy?
who's the blonde in that movie?
I don't know
Was
her
she already
name.
dead by that point? I'm so terrible with names.
Brittany Murphy died like 20 years ago
I know.
or
Hold on.
more.
I need her name. Hang on. Don't.
Oh,
I don't know
Jesus
that
fucking
actress's
Christ.
name.
Was it Marilyn? Jim?
Marilyn
Jane
Monroe.
Levy. It's
Yeah.
Jane Levy. It's Jane Levy. Oh my god. How did I not know
You were
that?
close.
Anyway. Yeah, so close.
Put that for Jim.
So anyway, like she's the sympathetic character, right? Because she doesn't really want to go along with it all
No,
the time.
they try to make her sympathetic. Oh, I'm only doing this so I can take what her like little brother or something and take him away from this awful place. But you're
Right.
still going in to rob an old blind vet.
Right. Consequences.
Right.
So sorry.
Yeah.
Sorry. I don't care what your end goal is. That doesn't justify what you're doing.
And that I had that similar experience with a movie called The Lodge this weekend, which we'll talk about.
I
in
love
what we
The
watched.
Lodge. I can already.
I have some very strong
I was
opinions.
gonna say I can already tell you don't agree with me.
No. I both love and hate it.
Okay.
So
Okay.
So the next one is again, it's not totally just a home invasion, but it kind of has a big part of it, and it's the only Jordan Peele movie I don't like, and it's Us.
I've not seen it.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Asia?
I feel like it's home invasion. It's a weird version of home invasion, but I definitely think it's home invasion. I wanted I wanted to love Us, and I love the idea of the movie, but it's definitely my least favorite Jordan Peele movie.
Just
Sorry,
didn't work for me. It was too outlandish.
Yes.
the way you framed that, it sounded like the best breakup line ever. I love the idea of us, but
No, it is.
It just doesn't
It
work.
is an interesting idea, but
right?
it's
Yeah,
probably more
exactly.
interesting as an idea than a product.
Right. I felt
Yeah,
like
I've not watched it.
I love
I'm not a big. Go ahead.
no, no, I was just gonna say that I love them. I love movies that make me think a little bit, like, okay, what could that possibly have meant? Like,
Mhm.
but I felt like it was just too confusing. Like, it was too not confusing. It was too. It tried too hard to be thought provoke.
It's too outlandish to
It was.
believe.
It,
It's
yeah,
like
it tried too hard to be thought provoking.
it
Okay.
wasn't art house enough to be art house,
Mhm.
and it wasn't normal enough to be normal. It was kind of like straddling the line,
Mhm.
and it didn't succeed at either. But I like his other movies. But I have to
Hot
watch Nope twice. I didn't like Nope the first time. I thought it was amazing the second time.
Same. Yeah,
hot take. I don't like Jordan Peele except for Nope. Nope is the only movie I've liked of his so far.
I love Nope.
Get Out is a good.
I love Get Out.
Go
Get
ahead.
Out. Get Out is the Stepford Wives all over again.
Yeah, no,
But
it is. It's
but I
a
like the Stepford
cultural,
Wives.
newer version. Yeah,
So I like the Stepford Wives, and it has nothing to do with the fact that it's a different take on the same idea.
Mhm.
I just didn't think it was well executed,
Gotcha.
I disagree.
and that's fair.
Uh,
I know I'm in the minority with that. It's
but
okay.
no, it's fine. Again, everything's subjective, Jim. So I don't
Exactly.
mind if
Yep.
you don't like something other than if somebody's got a bad haircut, because that's just dumb.
Well, I think that a
Okay,
lot of people
so
like
moving on.
Us over Nope. I know so many people that hate Nope, and I like Nope more than I liked Us.
Yep. Agreed.
Yeah, but see, the thing is, I hated Nope the first time I saw it,
Mm.
but then it was the movie that got me thinking. I was thinking about it afterwards, and that's usually a good sign.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm like, maybe I didn't pick something up that was meant, and I rewatched it. I'm like, okay, I get it much more now, and I enjoy it much more now.
Yeah.
Okay, The Collector.
I've only seen that movie once, and I don't remember much about it.
I've only seen it once too. My husband talks about it all the time. He's always like, "Oh, we should watch that movie again. We should watch it." I was like, "I don't even remember the first time we watched it." Like, so I definitely need to watch it again.
If you watch it again,
Yeah.
if you watch it again, you will be shocked about how violent it is and how
Yep.
nasty it is.
Mm.
Because I watched it like a long time ago, and then I rewatched it, and I'm like, oh my god, this is kind of brutal. And it's made by one of the guys behind Saw or something too. I think.
Oh, that makes
So
sense
it's
then.
got that kind of vibe.
Yeah.
Intensity, Jim,
I love the book and the movie, the made-for-TV movie.
and then you could say High Tension too.
I enjoyed High Tension, but it did annoy the shit out of me that it's almost point for point intensity.
Right.
I've never
The
seen
Dean
Intensity.
Arcons.
I don't think.
Have you
So-
seen Tension or High Tension, the French movie?
Mm-mm.
Okay, so the made-for-TV movie, I think it came out in '97.
Mhm.
Mark, does that sound right?
Yeah, something like that.
So it's got John C. McGinnis from Scrubs in it.
Okay.
John C. McGinley.
McGinley, sorry. And it's fantastic. It's really well done. And I always it's got that actress that I always get confused with Heather Donahue.
Is it Marilyn Monroe?
No, it's not.
Oh, okay.
It is not. Hang on, I'll get her name because I always get her
John
confused.
Crawford?
No.
Trying to think of who looks like.
Molly Parker.
Mm.
It's Molly Parker.
Oh, Molly Parker.
Yeah, I always get her confused with Heather Donahue. I think they look very similar. But it's absolutely it's a fantastic film, but it is almost shot for shot High Tension.
Mm. I'll have to watch Intensity though.
But yeah, worth checking.
And that's not to take away from High Tension. It's well done.
Mhm.
It's a good movie. But I love that book. And I normally don't like when Dean Koontz does movie adaptations of his own books because he usually fucks them up
I've
royally,
read
but
the
he did a
book.
good job with that one.
I've read the book. I
I'm-
have the book on my bookshelf. I've read the book.
Yeah.
I just have never seen the movie.
The movie is pretty close to the source material. It
Okay,
deviates
then
some, but for the most part, it's
I'd
pretty
probably
close.
like it then.
Like the scene where the scene where she's in the back of the camper while he's driving.
Mhm.
Like, oh my god, they captured the tension in that whole scene so well. It's done
Then
so
I would
well.
probably like the
And
movie.
Yeah,
yeah, and you should check out Hot Tension too. It's
yeah.
Alexandra Aja,
Okay.
and
I do like it.
it's one of the French new wave extreme horrors, along with Martyrs,
Mhm.
Inside, those type of things. And it was maybe the first one. They do a really good job, but the ending is just. I, th- just watch it.
Yeah,
The
I
ending
will.
kind of ruins it for me, but it's really extreme. It's really well done,
It
but
is.
it is just kind of like intensity.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay, so my last kind of like group is the interloper group. Jim, interloper.
Interloper. Hmm.
What's an interloper?
Is that like an Outlander?
So again, like we were talking earlier, it's about somebody who pretends to be somebody
Mhm.
and works their way into a family. So
Okay, I get
talk about
Orphan.
things:
Last time, the hand that
orphan,
rocks the cradle.
and the rocks
Um,
the cradle, stepfather,
Stepfather. Yep. Um,
and the guest.
oh, I love the guest.
Yeah, with
I'm
Dan
sorry.
Stevens.
I'm just rattling stuff off now.
Yeah, so it's a sneaky, pretend to be somebody else, work your way in, and then cause mayhem.
Okay.
And sometimes that's the worst kind of movie, right?
Mhm.
Because people can do that. It's
It's
hard to
interesting.
check up on people. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it just like it's already hard to trust people, so like when you do trust someone and then comes to find out that that person isn't who they say they are or their intentions are not what you thought they were, it's like, what the hell?
Yeah, especially with the likes of Orphan, right? Because you think it's the little kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know what though? Those movies are boring. I didn't find them exciting at all.
Uh, I love
I just watched the first one, and the first
I
one's
like the
actually
first
pretty good.
one. I only like the first one.
Yeah, I was not a fan of either
Aren't
one.
they supposed to be coming out with a new one?
Okay, that
They did on Paramount Plus.
No.
It's called First
No, no,
Kill.
no, no. I
Orphan
thought they were
First
coming
Kill.
out. I thought they were.
no,
I've seen that one. I didn't like that one, but I could have sworn that they were talking about
Yeah.
coming out with another one. But that could have just been my brain making things
Oh, that
up.
I don't know.
I think that concept. I think that concept is a one and done. Like you can't just keep doing that same concept over
Because
and over again
yeah,
because everybody already knows. And
yeah,
like the point of the movie was to
Right.
have that reveal.
yeah.
Yep.
Uh,
And
but anyway, that was my brain dump.
okay. Well, let's go more into the interloper thing, right? So let's talk about like the hand that rocks the cradle,
Hmm.
Yep.
which is that really a home invasion or is that a revenge flick?
Well,
Because
again,
she's getting revenge on that family because of the wrongs done to her by that doctor, right?
Right, right.
the Killing of the Sacred Deer, which I've seen, I think somewhat similar.
That greenhouse scene was, oh my god, that was intense.
No, but like I said, you don't have to say this is just a revenge movie or this
No,
is just a home invasion movie. There's going to be
right?
elements of both.
Right.
Yeah, of
Uh,
course.
so
So what about a
I would call
supernatural
it an
interloper, Mark?
I would call it an interloper movie. So
Yeah,
there's
I
another.
like that. I like that category. I do. We need to keep that.
Mhm.
What about supernatural interlopers, Mark? Like the Guardian?
Yeah, yeah.
Like
Again, to me, it's just somebody going into a family circle, right,
mhm,
and convincing them that they're there for good
Hmm.
right,
or they're there to be trusted, but they have some sort of nefarious plan, right?
Hmm.
nefarious. Look
Wait,
at you
wait,
and your $3 words.
That was
well,
a
I'm
good
very
word.
sagacious, Jim. It's pretty diaphanous.
Yes.
I sometimes
This is Mark being pretentious. Just so you know.
Jim. Sometimes I feel like Diogenes walking around with a candle, looking for honest people.
Do you know any, Mark?
Well,
Because you surround yourself with people that are like you. I'm just saying.
no, well, so you're like me, Jim? Is that what you
Apparently.
Well, apparently you've got like my avatar tattooed on your body forever. So.
That is true.
That is true.
What were you thinking?
I was thinking I didn't pay for it, so sure, why not?
Well,
That's
you
the
know, you
best
paid
kind of
most of it.
tattoo.
I did not. Right? Exactly.
Anyway, sorry. Go
Anyway.
ahead.
Anyway, so where were we? Oh, we were talking about interlopers. So how do you feel about
Interlopers.
supernatural interlopers, Asia?
Um, I feel like
So,
no, go ahead.
oh, I'm sorry, but just what Jim was saying, that I'm like, it's almost like possession,
That's what
like
I
The
was.
Not re-
Exorcist.
No,
No,
no.
in a
I'm
way,
not. No.
in a way, you could argue for it.
You could absolutely. But I'm talking about specifically movies like The Guardian, where
What other movies, Jim, other than The Guardian?
let's see, what else can I think of?
Because I think that's a very specific.
Because I was gonna say, because
It
okay,
is. It is.
so like
I'm trying to think.
supernatural invasion, a supernatural interloper, like people could argue that Poltergeist would be considered that, but I don't. It's more.
Oh,
It's very a gray lining.
You're Not My Mother is the other one. You're
almost more Poltergeist 2.
right, exactly. That's what I was going to say.
Kane.
Right. Once they introduce the character of Reverend Kane, then yes, absolutely, you could bring it to that conclusion.
God,
He
The
never
first
gets
one, no.
He
Well, he
terrified
sort of
me.
gets it, but
I recently read Home by Ben Young, and there's a character in there. Every time he was mentioned in the book, I pictured Reverend Kane, and it terrified me. Like I felt like I was a kid again
Right.
watching that Poltergeist, the second one, for the first time. Like it was just like, oh, that guy terrified me.
That's awesome. That's fair.
The holy temple.
He was so scary.
Earthly thoughts be silent now.
I'm gonna have nightmares now.
I know, right? Yeah. So, Mark, another movie is You're Not My Mother. Have you seen that one?
No.
So this takes place in North Dublin, where
I thought you talked about your big Egypt.
it's about this lady who goes missing, and when she comes back, her daughter's convinced that she is not her mother.
Right. So those are it's not interloper.
That is
It's
not.
it's where people mimic other people. There's
Nope. 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 You've not seen the movie. You can't talk to it, and that is
No.
incorrect.
I just mean in general. There is that. I'm trying to think. There's another movie where the kids go out and then there's like a curse or something. It's like the Changeling.
Changeling is what I
Not
was
the
thinking
Changeling,
of.
the movie, but
But that's
A changeling.
but that's
though.
exactly what she is in this movie. She's a
changeling.
Yeah.
She's a changeling.
right.
Yes.
But there's a term for I
Right.
can't
But I'm not talking about something like Goodnight Mommy.
Oh my god.
No. It's
Not,
about
not like that.
like it's a doppelganger movie.
Oh, that's another great movie.
No, well, a doppelganger in general, right?
Yeah.
And you could say Us is like that too.
Yeah, absolutely.
Mhm.
But if you haven't seen Doppelganger with Drew Barrymore, fantastic
I haven't,
movie.
but I will. I'll put it on my list.
It is terrible in all the best ways.
Oh, I love that.
It's terrible in all the best ways. It's not a great movie, but it's so much fun.
Okay, I'm gonna have to put it on my list then.
So yeah. So again, I do agree with you, Jim. Though that's kind of the interloper, or somebody who's pretending who they're not really are, right? And you're
right. Absolutely. But Mark, if you haven't seen You're Not My Mother, you should check that out. It's actually a really good movie.
How I Met Your Not Your Mother.
That was Mark attempts at being funny, just so you know.
Asia can't breathe right now through the sheer hilarity of that.
I was mostly
Mark,
laughing
that's not hilarity, that's
at
pity.
Jim's face after you said he looked so fed up with you.
Many people laugh at Jim's face.
Mm-hmm. It is not untrue.
It's not unusual.
He looked
I have no
so
poker
done.
face whatsoever.
He was just like
See,
You're not
Jim,
wrong.
you can't fake that.
No, you can't.
That's
fake it.
honest. That's honest.
This is honest and true. This is our thing, Mark.
it's
Yeah.
art. It's pure art.
It is absolutely.
I mean, in a way, yeah, I guess so.
So Asia, we're sort of at the point now where we would talk about movies that we've watched
Hmm.
in the last week. It doesn't have to be horror related, or books you've read, or video games you've played, whatever. So, do you have anything you want to talk about that you've experienced this week?
We just watched Dune 2, part 2 of Dune. Um,
Was it as boring as the first?
so I have always
Jim
loved
has
the
seen any.
I have always loved the original. I watched the
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
original when I was a kid with my dad all the time. And so when these new ones came
Yep.
out, like I was telling my husband how like I enjoy watching them the first time I watch them. And then I'm okay never watching them
Mm-hmm.
again. So,
Right.
like when we watched the second one, I was like, okay, I watched it. I'm probably never gonna watch it again. Um,
Mm-hmm.
like I love so what I
There's something.
no, go ahead.
Sorry. There's something about the David Lynch version that he totally disowned.
Hmm.
That is just so good.
What?
I mean, it's just like
Hmm.
amazing.
Well, what I was hoping for with these new ones is that they were doing multiple movies. I was like, they're gonna expand, they're gonna go into detail, it's gonna be so much better. Because with the original, they just crammed everything into the one movie,
Oh,
but it was still so much better. Like just even crammed.
well, and a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, they left a lot of stuff out of the David Lynch movie." I'm like, "Yeah, because it's like 2 hours long."
Yeah.
But also, they left a whole bunch out in these new movies, which I also love.
Hmm.
So I'm like, "There's no mentats or anything in it."
Hmm.
So I'm like, "Okay, that's a big part of it that you just
Hmm.
decided to leave out."
Yeah.
Um,
And I also
and
think
I love the book too.
yeah, and I also think that like character choice is a big deal for me. Like, okay, with the new Baron, I love that they chose Stellan Skarsgård. I thought he was a great, but the original Baron was so absolutely disgusting and creepy. Like nobody could do better than that. But also, like, because my husband and I were talking about how like Austin Butler plays the newest nephew that gets
Fade.
introduced. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Um,
Mhm.
but Sting's version of that character was so unhinged that even though Austin Butler did a great job, there's no way he could have done better, no matter what he did for me. And so those choices of like the people that they chose to play certain characters in the original one, that's what for me still makes it better than these new versions.
What they did with Fade in the new one, at least they gave him like the backstory or a bit of the backstory. In
True.
the Lynch one, there's no
He's
backstory.
just a crazy
However,
ass character in that one.
yeah, however, I just love like, and it might be sentimentality and just nostalgia, but where he's like, I have to ban like a reed in the wind because Sting has been cheating, and
Yeah.
he's got like that thing that it's just perfect, and I love all that inner monologue stuff that they do.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are like, "Oh, well, why are you doing that?" I love it,
Yeah.
but I really like the new ones too, and I like the books. So I kind of like more green is better. Have you seen the mini series?
Mm-mm.
I haven't seen it either. Apparently, it's very
Oh,
good.
I haven't. No, I have not seen. I haven't seen
Yeah,
that.
I think it was made in the '90s. I think.
Oh, I
Yep.
didn't even know it existed.
Jim, do you want to tell everybody your hilarious joke about Dune that you posted in like 4 different places?
I
Okay,
said with
Isha, are you sitting down for this? Because this is going to be hilarious. So just make sure that you don't fall over
Again.
with once
yeah,
once.
again, I simply mentioned that they missed an opportunity with this new trilogy of movies.
Okay.
It
What
it
was
should
that?
be Dune, Duner,
Oh,
Dunist.
I did see your post. Yes.
Jim, have you seen Dune?
I've seen the first one.
What the
No, the part one.
Oh,
I've
okay.
never watched the Kyle MacLachlan one.
Oh, you should. Yeah. Okay.
To be perfectly honest, I have zero interest in Dune. I don't like space opera.
Eh, that's fair. Like I said, I am okay watching them once and then never
Yeah.
watching them again. Um,
So
yeah.
I'll tell you about how ridiculous I can get with that.
Hmm.
I did not watch Star Wars for 27 years because my mother every time it would come on was giving my sister a home perm because that was big in the 80s.
Yeah,
And
okay.
all I could do was smell that chemical.
Mhm.
That's all I could do for
So
27
Jim,
years.
your mother really, really needs to come on this podcast. I have so many questions.
Oh, I'm
And
a big Star Wars fan. My oldest kiddo, he's a huge Star Wars fan. Every animal we've ever had has been named by Star Wars characters. We've had a Darth Revan, we've had a Mace Windu. We have our last remaining pup. His name is Obi. Our the girl that we used to have was named Leia. So we're big Star Wars
So,
fans.
we, so
the,
I'll
the next
give you a
one's
little
going to be Jar
backstory.
Jar.
I'll give you a little backstory about me and Star Wars, right? My mother bought me this really ugly monster many years ago,
Hmm.
when I was a kid, many years ago, and I had no idea what it was. It was just an ugly monster, so we would play with it out in the yard. I didn't find out till the year that season 2 of Boba Fett showed up that it was a Rancor.
Yep.
I did.
And we're back on Jim's therapist podcast.
No, we're not, Mark. Let's move on.
Yes, let's move on quickly.
Yeah. Well, anything else, Asia, you want to talk about?
The only other movie that my brain is like remembering that we've watched recently is The Fall Guy. We watched.
Oh, how was
It
it?
was so good. So we actually went to
Was it?
Universal Studios recently, like last couple
Mm-hmm.
weeks. So I don't know if you guys have ever been. They do a Waterworld show. But because Fall Guy was coming out soon, they had so many stunt people there to do the show, and they did like a version. They did like a little like preview to Fall Guy and stuff, and it was just so cool, and it was really, but I really love Ryan Gosling. I really love Emily Blunt.
Mm-hmm.
But it was really good. I think it was really well done. I love that they really there was just so many stunt people involved in it, and just I really liked that. But it was definitely a fun movie.
I assume you're in California.
I am
Nope, she's in
not. I'm in
Arizona.
Arizona.
So, but did you go to the California
Yes.
Disney?
Well,
Yeah.
she didn't come to fucking Florida, Mark.
Yeah.
Well, I know.
I've been to Florida once, and I'm sorry, guys. I can't. I don't think I'll ever go back to Florida, Jim.
I don't blame you. That's okay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here if I didn't live here.
Jim, you know you can move.
I can actually. I got a job offer in Oregon not too long ago.
Oh,
Yeah,
don't go to
when
Oregon.
you go there,
Mike Salt lives in
country,
Well,
and
then
Oregon.
I'd have to be around Mike Salt.
Mike Salt
Exactly.
lives
That's
in
why I didn't
Oregon.
take the job. Mike Salt, I hope you're listening because I did not take the job because of you. I don't want to be around raccoons that wear meat suits.
Oh my gosh.
He'll never hear this, so I can say that.
Oh, I know. I'm gonna post it and I'm gonna tag him repeatedly until he watches it or listens to it or whatever. I'm just gonna tag him and tag
Right.
him.
Oh my god. But I love Emily Blunt's husband. He's so good looking. Anyway,
trying to find his face.
Speaking of his,
what is?
So this is I'll be the pedant. There's something about him I just like annoys me.
John Krasinski?
But, yeah, but
Is
I
it his?
really
Is
like
it
him
his
as
chiseled
an actor.
abs? His humorous personality? What is it that you hate
No,
about him?
it's his face, Jim.
Well, no. Speaking of
With
him,
or without the beard?
with the beard, always with the beard.
I don't know. I don't mind him without the beard.
Mm.
Not gonna lie.
I just think he looks the way he did in The Office, and his character in The Office annoyed me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That's fair.
But no, his new movie that's coming out, or I think it's out right now in theaters. If.
Oh right. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I didn't know he played in it. I thought he just directed.
I didn't
it.
either.
He plays in it. Like,
Ah.
yeah, because my husband was
Nice.
like, he's in part of the previews, and I was like, I don't pay attention.
Yeah, he did. What was the movie? He's got a TV show with Jack Reacher. Not Jack Reacher. What?
No,
Jack Ryan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Jack Ryan.
On Amazon Prime.
Yep.
Oh my God, that man took off his shirt. Oh, sorry. I feel better now. Mark.
I think he's very good looking. Yeah.
I don't
Mark's
like
wrong.
it.
Mark doesn't like his stupid face.
I don't know why. And like I said, that I do rate him as an actor, so it's just weird that I don't.
No, that's fair. He is a great actor, regardless of whether you like his physical features or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Totally agree.
Okay, Mark, you're next.
Now, I'm going to go to the bathroom, Jim, so you can babble on about whatever you want to talk about.
Okay, so let's talk about two books. You
Okay.
ready,
Yeah,
Asia?
yeah,
We're gonna
you
talk
did.
about.
Go ahead. Bye.
I finished. I finished two books this week.
Okay.
So hold on a second. I finished. I'm gonna pull up my list here real quick. Finished. I finished Doctor Parasite and did an unhinged review on TikTok.
I've not read it yet, but I want to so
So
badly.
the story is really solid. Just please do not pick up the audiobook.
Okay. I read
The
the short
the audio.
story that led to him writing that story.
So I'm a big fan. I don't know if you've read Writhe by Erica Summers.
Mm-mm.
It's Erica Summers and H.M. Wolves, I think, are the two authors.
Mm.
I really loved that book. So Veronica, who is one of the people I follow on Book Talk, suggested Doctor Parasite because she thought I would really appreciate that it's about a gay couple.
Mm.
Um, but the audiobook is so overproduced
Oh,
with
is
the
it?
sound effects.
Mm.
It's so like it gets so boring, like the sex sounds and the cannibal sounds, and
Oh,
it's just too much. It makes it, and it doesn't enhance the story. It just makes it boring.
right,
Like
right.
I get bored. I'm like,
Kind
well,
of
this is stupid.
cringy.
Yeah. However, I did read Vanity Kills by Erica Summers because I loved Writhe, and this is supposed to be an extreme body horror
Hmm.
book.
I have that one in my
I
Kindle.
didn't I did not find it extreme at all.
No?
I did, however, think it was a solid story. I really liked the story, but I did not think it was extreme in any way.
I have it in my Kindle
Um,
and I'm trying to get to it.
there's there's one scene, like essay is usually a big trigger for me, right?
Hmm.
And there is a scene of male on male essay,
Hmm.
but it didn't bother me because it was the logical conclusion of that story arc.
Right, right.
Like
It went with the story.
right. It wasn't just in there to be graphic. It wasn't just in there to be outlandish or oh god, what's the word I'm looking for? To be outrageous, right?
Right,
It is the logical progression of what she's putting these characters through.
right,
Like there's no other way it could have come to that conclusion.
right. Well, like talking about outrageous, so I recently just buddy read um No One Writes for Free
Oh,
by
Judith
Judith
Sonnet,
Sonnet.
right?
Yeah. So I love
Yeah.
Judith. I actually the first thing I ever read by her was she sent me her chapbook Tapewormin.
What is that?
It is wild. It's about tapeworms.
Okay.
It's very gross. I feel like because I love anything that has to do with body horror or anything that has to do
Yeah.
with like anything like that. So I ate it up. I loved it. With No One
Right.
Writes for Free.
You got the one?
Oh, I don't want to eat up a tapeworm. No, thank you. So with No One Writes for Free, it's one of those books that it is outrageous horror. In the sense
right.
of that it's just done. But again, that's a genre that people like. So like if
Yes.
that's something I gave it 4 stars because I thought it was it kept me reading. So I gave it 4 stars.
Right.
But if like you're someone who doesn't enjoy just outrageous for outrageous purposes, it's definitely not
Right.
something for that kind of person. I didn't think it was as like everyone talks about it like it's this um like you're never gonna be able to read a more disgusting book or like it's gonna I didn't think it was that bad. I've
If
read
you
worse.
Mhm.
I thought the short story at the end was worse than the actual book.
Okay.
um I don't think that I'll ever read a book that disgusts me more than Bloodbag by Jason Dawn.
Have,
Wait till you read my book about Jim.
have you I'm gonna give you a suggestion if you haven't read it yet,
Mhm.
and it is on Audible if you like audiobooks. It's The Dark Side of Hell by Patrick C. Harrison III.
Okay, I have not read anything by Patrick yet, but I hear great things.
That book is vile,
Is it?
and I loved it. There were two scenes that I had to skip
Hmm.
because it was just too much. I got as far as I could in one scene and just went, okay, what's next? What's next?
Okay.
Skip ahead 30 seconds. And then there was another scene I probably could have made it through, but it felt like it was setting it up for something.
Hmm.
And I was like, yeah, I'm not going to be able to handle this. So I skipped that. But everything else, oh my God, I retched so much. I have an unhinged review of that on TikTok too.
Okay, I will
Um,
have to look for it then because, yeah, like I said, after I read Bloodbag, I was like, I'm probably Like I even read Dead Inside because people were like, "Oh,
Hmm.
it's so," and it is, and I probably should have been repulsed and disgusted. I didn't love it, you know what I mean? But it didn't disgust me the way that people made it seem. Like it was just something that I was like, this is eh. Um,
They slice up a woman like a lasagna
So, Asia,
oh,
what is,
I
hang on.
love
and eat
lasagna.
her for dinner. They eat her for
I
dinner.
love
I'll never
lasagna.
eat candy corn again.
I love
Ugh.
candy corn.
Me too, but not after this.
So, Asia, what is the most extreme horror movie you've seen, do you think?
Mm, that's a hard one.
That's what she said.
Oh my gosh.
Not to you.
Hey, leave your mom out of this.
I feel like I feel like anytime anyone's asked this, they're like, "Oh, a Serbian film." Um,
Hmm?
Edge lords.
yeah.
No.
Uh, I honestly, I don't know. I don't know.
What's the
Right?
last movie you would show to like your in-laws? Maybe that's that you've seen.
Mark,
Mm,
she might like her in-laws. You don't know.
I do
No, that's the point, Jim. For fuck's sake.
I do like my in-laws, but I would still probably force them to read and watch things. I don't know. Like honestly,
Something
like
that you wouldn't want to show to somebody
the what?
to where you might want them to not think that you're crazy.
Well, they'll always think I'm
Or
crazy.
so
So
no.
there was a movie that I
Well,
watched recently that the ending made me go, "What the actual hell?" But I forget what it's called. I saw it on Prime, I think, or Hulu. No, I think I saw it on Hulu. But it's about like this couple goes to this doctor for insemination purposes, and she starts to have like these weird hallucinations, and weird shit just starts happening to her, and she's like going absolutely crazy, and the doctor and her husband are like gaslighting the shit out of her. And it goes wild from there on. And like I remember after I finished watching it, I was like, that was probably the weirdest shit I've watched in a while. I'm gonna have to find out I don't remember the name of it, but I'm pretty sure I watched it on Hulu. I'm pretty sure I watched it on Hulu.
Interesting.
But it was really, it made me feel really weird.
So I want to talk about The Lodge, Mark. I have a friend, Rebecca, that recommended I watch this movie, and I made a review about it um, on TikTok. But this movie, this movie for me is a good for her movie,
Hmm.
100%.
what does that mean?
Have you seen The Lodge, Mark?
No.
Oh, it's good.
So The Lodge is about a family, and the mother passes away. Well, let's
Yeah.
not say that. Her husband wants to get a divorce,
Hmm.
that wants to finalize their divorce, and rather than finalize the divorce, she blows her brains out.
Hmm.
Right? Um, and
Alicia
6 months
Silverstone.
later, yes, Alicia Silverstone, who, by the way, did a fantastic job looking like an absolute wreck.
Yes, she
Um,
did.
she did a great job. But so Richard Armitage is the dad. 6 months later, he decides, well, I'm going to introduce my kids to my new girlfriend. So the kids are like, no, we don't want to do that. He's like, you guys are going to go up to the cabin. You'll be there for a few days. I'll come back on Christmas Day because I have to work. It'll be a blast. Fuck them kids. Everything that happens in the movie from the time they get to the cabin until the end of the movie is their fault.
Hmm.
And they deserve everything they get. That's all I'm going to say. That's what a good for her movie is. Things go very, very wrong, and it's all the kid's fault, and I'm happy that whatever happens, happens.
Consequences.
Yep.
It's a really good movie.
It's that's why I have a love-hate relationship with it. Like I hated the family unit, and I was so happy that the quote-unquote villain, because like in the last third of the movie, they try to make you feel sympathetic for these evil little fuckwads,
Yeah.
and it
Because
just
they're
doesn't work for me.
kids.
Right. Fuck them
Yeah.
kids.
So worth checking out then.
It
Yeah,
is,
it
yeah.
is. It is.
My husband always
It's
he always makes fun of me because he's always like, every movie we watch, if there's a bad guy or a villain, you're always like, they're misunderstood. There's something else behind it. I'm like, because usually there is. Like,
right. Yeah.
I will talk about that in a second.
Okay, that's all I got, Mark. So it's your turn.
Okay, well, I'll start with the movie that you're desperate to see, Jim. And I think it's 2015's Mexican flick, Atroz,
Oh, so I'm not desperate to see it, but
aka Atrocious.
yeah, it's all over TikTok right now. So I'm curious.
So this is one of these movies which has got a lot of attention over the years, but because it's never on any streaming site, I just eventually broke down and bought it on Blu-ray. So, trigger warning, Jim.
Yep.
Do you know anything? Hang on. So you say it's all over TikTok.
Yeah.
So what have you heard about it?
Just that it's very disturbing and it's very violent.
What is it called?
Atroz?
Okay, I don't think I've heard of it.
AKA Atrocious.
Yep.
So if you're looking it up on like IMDb or whatever, look up Atrocious because I think it's under that.
Okay.
So it's the story as old as time, Jim.
Okay.
We have two Mexican guys who run over a woman and kill her.
Oh.
So the police go there and they find a camcorder.
Okay.
And they start looking at it.
Okay.
And what that documents is these two guys who are like stalking this hooker. But it's like a transgender guy / woman, right?
Okay. Wait. Guy / woman.
So it's a woman.
Okay.
A transgender woman.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
That clears things up. Thank you.
Yes. I have the trigger warnings in there. Okay. So I guess one of the guys maybe had something with this woman before, and he got very angry about it. So they kidnap her and torture her.
Okay.
And again, all this is kind of handheld movie style.
Right.
Which, does add, even just like driving through some of these streets in Mexico, it just looks dangerous.
Right.
And I'm going to Mexico soon. Anyway, so they capture her and torture her and like cut off one of her breasts and like piss in it and like pour like it. And yada yada yada. Some more torture. Then one of the guys shoots her in the head. So we go back to the two guys in the police station, and the main detective guy wants to know where this happened, right? Because they have to get evidence.
Right.
And the main guy's not talking.
Right.
So they decide to, and this isn't shown on screen. Well, they don't show the graphic part on screen. After beating him and whatever, they they get a car battery and connected to his nuts and pull like so eventually he gives up the location of where they killed this prostitute.
Okay.
And at that location they find another 2 tapes. So one tape is the other guy who has just a woman prostitute, not transgender, who he rapes and does nasty stuff to, and kills.
Okay.
But the other tape is even more interesting because it's the main guy from the start who got his nuts put to a car battery.
Okay.
So it details his kind of maybe a week in his life as he is probably like 18 years old.
Okay.
And he's gay.
Okay.
And his stepfather finds out.
Oh.
And he doesn't like that one bit.
Okay.
And he finds that he's got like a dildo and a wig and everything else. His mom's there and his sister who's around the same age. Again, probably like 18-ish.
Right.
So the dad decides to rape him, to teach him a lesson after trying to get him a prostitute who says that he couldn't get it up because whatever, and the stepdad is so disappointed in him, right?
Right. The natural progression would be to rape him.
Yeah, right.
Give him a lesson and put the wig on. And he also kicks him out into his like high school or wherever he's supposed to be at, like with no pants on and dressed up, and kind of humiliates him. So this guy then decides to take his revenge.
Okay.
So he
On the.
drugs on both the stepdad and his mom, because his
Oh,
mom
okay.
was there, and the sister was there too, right?
There's a lot in
So
this
he
movie.
Yeah, there is.
so he drugs the yeah, sorry, spoilers. I should have said that at the start.
You should have.
Sorry, everyone. Jim, you could add in spoilers. So he drugs his dad and mom, and he gets the dildo. It's a strap on, and he puts it on his mom, but he wraps barbed wire around it, and so he tells her to rape the dad, right? The stepdad, which she does because she's got a gun pointed to her head. And there's it's interesting because they have like a point of view of the dildo in the guy's ass. And I was reading a review and somebody said that totally took me out of the film. Like
That all happened
yeah.
in one movie.
I don't think it's done yet.
There's still more. There's still more.
Oh my
So,
goodness.
so he has the mom rape the dad, and then he has the dad, and it's actually quite graphic. He cuts the dad's genitals off. And by the way, sorry, the sister is recording this
Of course.
on the camcorder.
Okay,
right?
yeah.
So
Of course.
I was about to ask who's
I'm sure.
recording.
I'm
Yeah,
sure
of
that's
course.
what you were wondering. How is this being recorded? So it's a sister.
No, I just assumed there was a tripod involved.
Like American Beauty, just recording it.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So he graphically cuts off the dad's junk, and then we kind of cut scenes where he has killed the mom, cut off her breasts, stitched them onto the dad, and then stitched the dad's junk onto his mother's crotch.
Oh
Wow,
my
that's a lot to
gosh.
unpack.
So after that, him and the sister who are kind of laughing about it because they're kind of in love. So they're like,
It's a love story. Why did you say that?
it is. It is a love story. So, but is it? Because they're kissing, and the sister's like, well, why can't you get it up? Right? Because he must be gay, Jim. I don't know. I'm not a gay expert. But so he's like, no, I'm trying to. I,
He looks so done with you. He's so fed up.
so Jim, I know you have a sister, but nope.
I have
I'm not
four.
running parallels.
I have four sisters.
Oh, you do.
I do.
So anyway, she's getting all mad at him because obviously the parents are there, swap genders, I guess, and
Movie, man.
he accidentally cuts her throat with a knife.
Oh,
Accidentally?
Yeah,
Accidentally.
well, sort of, yes, and he doesn't really mean to do it. But that excites him at this point, so he has to jack off over her
of course.
as she's dying.
Of course.
Right?
I mean, that's, again, the natural
So
progression.
now we cut back to the guy in the prison, or sorry,
Okay.
being I'm sorry, he's watching this with the detective because the detective found this.
I completely forgot about
and
the detectives.
and he put it on the VCR in the station where they're both watching it.
Okay.
So the very end, there's a twist at the end, Jim.
A twist, because we haven't been through enough.
There's actually two twists.
Oh,
Sorry,
Jesus
I take
Christ.
that back.
This has been a windy
So
road.
Right?
it turns out that the transsexual hooker is actually the brother of the main detective.
Oh?
So he obviously, that's why he's being So nasty to him, right? But also at the very end, he says, "By the way, your sister, um, she's alive. Like she didn't die from having her throat cut.
Okay.
Well, because it
Um,
was an accident. He
but
didn't do it all the way.
yeah, she ended up going into crime and being incarcerated. So they found her, and it ends with the detective giving her like a switchblade and just letting her go do whatever to her brother. The end.
I have never
That
been on such a wild ride.
right?
That
I
I feel like you just made all of that.
yeah,
That can't be
I feel like
real.
he's no.
Oh, it's totally real.
Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, that was wild.
Do you want to watch it now?
I don't
No.
know.
So, Mark, I might have been a little premature when I said I was done. I have three other movies I need to talk about. I'll let you
Are,
finish. I'll let you finish.
is one of them Atros?
No, no. It's three screeners that I got.
So anyway, so I got the Blu-ray, and the Blu-ray, on the front of it says not produced by or inspired by, but Ruggero Deodato has his name on the front cover, who
Okay.
is the director of Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay.
And this one really does feel like a Cannibal Holocaust type movie with the found footage and the extreme horror. And it's actually well shot and it's well acted. It's just like if you don't like extreme stuff, just obviously stay well away from it.
It just seemed like there was a lot going on.
Yeah,
But it
absolutely.
wasn't actually as extreme. So maybe I'm just desensitized to a
That's how
certain
I feel
point.
sometimes with me.
It just wasn't like at the top of like what I consider extreme. It's pretty close to the top. Just I think a lot for like the sexual violence and the a lot of that stuff. But
Yeah.
it's worth checking out. Like extreme movies, it's well done. It's not just like crap,
Right.
like some of them are. I also watched Sister Death.
I've never heard of
Tell
that.
me more.
So it's on Netflix. It's done by the guy that directed Wreck, the Spanish movie.
Okay.
I don't remember, or sorry, I don't know if you remember a movie that came out on Netflix like a while ago called Veronica.
Yep.
Yeah.
I didn't
Because
watch it, but I know of it.
right, because it was labeled the scariest
It
movie
was disappointing.
People were throwing up.
It was
so
okay.
bad.
It was good,
okay.
but
I think just because they like once you label something that, it's always going to be disappointing.
yeah.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Just like cut down with the hyperbolic statements. So this is apparently a prequel, which I didn't even realize because it's been a long time since I've watched Veronica, and it's about nuns in a nunnery.
Is that why it's called Sister Death? I never would have guessed.
I would have never
it is.
guessed either, but I love that.
Yeah.
It's funny because there seems to be a lot of like nun movies that have come out recently.
3 in April.
Yeah, but this one was pretty good. They had a lot of like standard new nun in a nunnery, weird things are happening, and blah 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 blah. They kind of bring it back to the person that the new nun that's coming is a younger person who at the start of the movie shows that she was like a little girl that was all lauded to be like some sort of saint because they had like I don't know if you're familiar with like Fatima miracle, which wasn't a miracle. It was just a lot of people staring at the sun and then they saw stuff. Shocking. But she goes to this nunnery, but she has some doubts about like her faith, and then there's stuff about it's set just after World War II, blah 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 blah. It's actually pretty good. The ending was stronger than the start to me because they kind of revealed some stuff, and I'm like, oh, okay, that's pretty cool. And they did this. Well, I'm not going to ruin it. So something a little unusual towards the end. But yeah. So
Asia, the reason he's not going to ruin it is because I have no interest in seeing it.
No,
I'll probably watch
but
it.
no.
You took us, Mark.
No,
Mark, you
it's
took us blow by blow through Atrocious because you
right,
knew I was interested.
but Atrocious is like 2018. This is like from last year. So,
I know. I'm just kidding, Mark. Kidding. Anyway, what else you got?
okay, so two of your favorite directors, Jim, decided to have a collaboration in 1997.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, and these two directors really didn't like each other, but one of them saw the other one who was in kind of failing health. And he's like, okay, we should probably work together. And this is 1997's The Wax Mask, which is co-written by both Dario Argento and Lucio Fulci.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
And Fulci was supposed to direct it, but unfortunately he died before they started.
Mm.
This is a really fun Giallo meets the mysteries of the Wax Museum type flick. Yep, definitely worth checking out.
I'm out. You said Giallo. You said Argento, and you said Fulci. I'm done.
Yep. Asia, do you like Italian horror cinema?
I do, but I don't watch enough of it to really like have strong opinions or like
So
Right.
conversations about it.
let me let me set the stage for you here, Asia. Mark wanted to introduce me to a Giallo film.
Hmm.
He introduces me to the movie, um, The New York Ripper.
Mm.
Mm-hmm.
The New York Ripper is about a serial killer who likes to impersonate Donald Duck.
Mm-hmm.
It also has a
No,
foot
no,
rape
hang on,
scene.
hang on. Whoa. So, Jim, that's just when he's calling the cops, right? He talks like Donald Duck.
Right.
He doesn't just walk around like Donald Duck.
No, right,
I'm
right.
envisioning
It's
him
just when
like
he's
murdering people and impersonating Donald Duck.
Well, he
yeah,
does.
that would have been
Well, he
much more
does do that.
entertaining.
As far as like what he's saying, he's all like, "Quack, quack, 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 quack."
Yeah. And
It's
then
great.
there's a
It's
foot
much
rape scene in a restaurant. It's just
it's very
it's ridiculous.
sleazy. It's a
It
very
is.
sleazy, exploitative, Fulci classic.
Oh
Yeah,
my
it's
gosh.
garbage. And anyway, can we move on, Mark?
That's it.
Okay. So I do have three more
Mhm.
movies I need to talk about that totally slipped my mind.
It's okay.
Is it
Um, I
yours?
I got a screener of actually four movies because I don't think I talked about the Moors yet, right?
Mm.
So I got a screener from Strike Media
Mhm.
for a movie called The Moors.
Mhm.
This movie is objectively bad and objectively infuriating. The decisions that the characters make are completely unhinged,
Mhm.
make no sense to any rational person whatsoever. However, that being said, there is one scene when everybody is back out on the moors that is absolutely fucking perfect. Like I have not seen a scene that intense in a very very long time. But
Is it
it
a
does not.
British movie?
It is actually.
Yeah, because the Moors, right?
Yeah.
Mm.
So that's
But
a-
so the story of this movie is there is a child that disappeared
Mhm.
25 years ago, and his father has been obsessed with his disappearance ever since. So he gets childhood friends and some people that he's hired that are psychic mediums to go out onto the moors. Well, everybody believes the moors are haunted,
Mhm.
and all kinds of shenanigans ensue. But I kid you not, the third time they go out on the moors, there is a scene where they're camping in a tent. It is fucking perfect. It is cinematic genius. The rest of the movie is dog shit.
So that makes me want to watch it just for that scene.
You need to.
Okay.
I absolutely think it needs to be experienced just for that scene.
Okay.
But if you're anything like me,
no, nobody's like you, Jim.
fuck you, Mark. The
Uh,
the
no
these
thanks.
people repeatedly going out to the moors makes zero sense. Like they've been maimed, they've been injured, yet
But,
they keep
Third time's a
sending out
charm.
a six right, but
but
they keep sending out a 16-year-old girl
Mm.
to these haunted moors, even though she's already, broken her leg and had to spend 3 months in a cast, and it doesn't make any sense. But
she's got some gumption to go out there over and over again.
I wouldn't do it.
That's good for her.
anyway, so I do think it's worth seeing just for that one scene, and that's exactly what I told the gentleman that sent me the screener. I'm like, look, I don't want to talk bad about your art, about the art from the artist point of view, but
God,
there's
did you know
one.
who he was sending it to?
There is one scene in that movie that needs to be talked about because it needs to be experienced because it's
Right.
fucking perfect.
Right.
Everything else about the movie I did not like.
Mm.
Next, I saw a movie from Terror Films called The Invited. This movie is a low budget film about
Dog
a
shit.
girl. What?
No, I'm just predicting. Go ahead.
What did you just say?
Dog shit.
I heard.
No.
I heard something else.
So this movie is about a girl who goes over to Paris with a friend, one of her longtime friends, and meets a boy, and then takes off with the boy to Russia.
Of course.
Now they're apparently getting married, so they're doing a Zoom call where they're going to stream their ceremony, so all of their family in the U.S. can watch. Um, and it's not at all what it appears to be. It's pretty graphic with some of the body horror. For a low budget flick, this was solid. They really take pains in some points, to be perfectly honest, to keep these people on this Zoom, and it can get quite annoying at times. But overall, this was a solid movie for a low budget flick.
Awesome.
I got a lot out of this film that I did not expect to enjoy.
Was there any wigs involved, Jim?
There wasn't, but there was a lot of booby mutilation,
Mm.
and there was a castration.
Oh, that's always fun.
Yeah. It was just like I said. They went to some. They did a lot of backbending to stay on this Zoom call, but overall, it was not bad. It was a solid film.
Huh.
And the other one I watched was also from Strike Media. It was called The Girl in the Trunk.
Okay.
So this girl lives in Texas, and I want to say El Paso. I could be wrong, but she's getting married, and she decides she's going to be a runaway bride. So she rents a car. She takes off from her wedding. Well, as she's trying to return the car in whatever other in Dallas or wherever it is that she ran off to, she gets kidnapped.
Of course.
Does she
And
get put in the trunk, Jim?
Maybe.
Okay.
What gave that away?
I've just watched a lot of movies, Jim, so I can kind of tell.
So to be perfectly honest, most of this movie takes place and it's just the girl in the trunk, and she's all by herself. All she's got is her cell phone that whoever has kidnapped her has gotten root access to. So he's redirecting her calls. He's tormenting her. This was much better than I expected it to be. The worst part about this movie were the CGI animals. Like there's a CGI rattlesnake and a CGI scorpion. They were kind of hokey, but overall it was a solid film. I really liked the ending and what she did. I thought that again there were some dubious choices that forced her to stay in the trunk that were a little frustrating, but overall it's another solid film.
Awesome.
I really liked it. That's it, Mark.
So is it stuck in one location type of movie?
It is, yes. Everything takes place in the trunk.
Yes.
Everything.
I like those movies.
And like all of the death scenes, she's watching like through the keyhole of the trunk because she's knocked it out at this point. So it's very different. I liked it a lot.
Like very voyeuristic.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, that's cool.
And she's not stupid. Like she's actually intelligent, so she comes up with some what you would think would be good ideas, even though they don't necessarily pan out properly.
Oh, that's cool. Okay, I like that.
So I like that.
It sounds like Buried.
Yeah, I was thinking that with Ryan Reynolds. That one?
I haven't seen that yet.
Where he's like, it's just like his point of view, like for a majority of it is he's just in one underground box.
Yep.
Yeah, he's in a coffin.
Yeah.
So that's it for me. That's all I had that I hadn't talked about.
Okay, very cool. Asia?
So, Asia, if you could, go ahead and pop your socials one more time so that we can make sure people can find you.
Yeah, of course. Okay, so if you're on Facebook, you just have to type in my name, Asia Brito Guerrero, and then author, and it should come up. On Instagram, I'm Asia BG author, so BEEGEE author. And then on TikTok, it's just asia.bg.
Okay. Asia, thank you so much for putting up with Mark for this long.
It was so much fun.
I know what a chore he can be.
It was so much fun. I absolutely loved it. Thank you guys for having me.
You are absolutely welcome on anytime. So I need somebody that can be the buffer.
Yeah, I hope you had fun because, again, we always just kind of aim to have a few people hanging around.
Yep.
just have fun. Just
It was very enjoyable. I loved it.
That's exactly what we do. We do this to have fun. We're not trying to be Joe Rogan.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I'm gonna hit the stop button, but we're gonna hang out for a couple minutes just so we make sure everything uploads.
Yeah.
Okay.